It's 49 degrees in Baltimore. Let's welcome in the third member of our crew, 7-time Pro Bowler Steve Tasker.
Kevin, when the quarterback position was in question all week for the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson was trying to get ready to make his first NFL start. It did not go well. Thursday he showed up at the facility, was not feeling well, and then took a turn for the worse. He was admitted to the hospital Thursday night. They ran tests all night. He took some IVs and then was released early enough on Friday to make it back to the facility to get to walk through. So if Lamar Jackson could come out, get his first start as a professional, and win here today, you can bet he did it the hard way.
Good stuff, Steve. Hey, Rich, in terms of important days of preparation, where does a Thursday work for a quarterback in that regard?
Well, unfortunately for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, that's a critical day to miss because that's typically the day that the team works on their third down offense, also the red zone and short yardage offense. So he missed a lot of those reps that went to Robert Griffin III. So he had some making up to do on Friday at practice.
We've had the flip of the coin. The Ravens have won the toss. They've elected to take the second half kickoff. The Bengals will receive. The terrific Justin Tucker is set to kick off to Alex Erickson. Erickson, the number 4 kickoff man in the NFL. Bengals, Ravens, and away we go from the 6. This is Erickson. And hit on the play and brought down by Kenny Young on an 18-yard return. Lot facing quarterback Andy Dalton today. We talked to him last night, Rich.
He's got his work cut out for him, Kevin. There's no question about that. Not having A.J. Green in the lineup, and you look at last week not having him. He had the worst passing yardage numbers of the season. He threw for just 153 yards against the Saints, and he had his second multiple interception game. He was also sacked 4 times. You're going to have to help Andy Dalton early, and you do that by running the football.
Both Mixon and Bernard are in. Here's Bernard on 1st and 10. He's chased by Tavon Young and driven out of bounds near the 31-yard line with a catch and run of 8 on the play. Here is this offensive line, Rich, and they welcome back the right guard Redmond today.
Yeah, that helps. He comes back after missing last week with the hamstring injury. They're going to have to play well, and you look at this group without A.J. Green, John Ross, and certainly Erickson are going to have a big day for Dalton.
With a second down and 2, this is Mixon. And jumping through with a nice defensive play coming in with a loss of 4 was Owasso. Patrick Owasso. Let's take a look at the defense. You love this defensive line of Baltimore.
It really starts inside with one of the best nose tackles in football, Brandon Williams, who does all the dirty work inside so that those linebackers can run around and make some plays.
Mosley and Owasso in the middle. How about the secondary, Rich?
Keep an eye on Eric Weddle. He's maybe the best safety in football at disguising his intentions. He's down at the line of scrimmage. He's back out there. He makes it very difficult on quarterbacks.
Bernard with the block. It's 3rd and 6. The catch is made, and it looks like it may be just shy. Caught on the play by Auden Tate. That is his first catch of the season. The rookie out of Florida State with the grab. They're at the 34. They're short, and here comes the punting unit.
But I like Auden Tate. He's a big target for Andy Dalton, a little bit like A.J. Green. He's actually a little bit taller. He's 6'5", 228 pounds, and he'll go up and high point the ball for Dalton.
Huber's going to punt. His net is one of the worst in the NFL this season. Cyrus Jones is back. Minimal breeze inside the stadium today. And there is Jones, fair caught, 27-yard line, a 42-yarder, heaved up there by Huber. Well, there's a little bit of electricity in the building today. It's our first look as a starting quarterback of the rookie Lamar Jackson out of Louisville.
And his production at Louisville over the last 2 years reached historic levels. And I can imagine right now he's a bit nervous. I think it's going to be important for him to take a deep breath, to get off to a good start, and really just try and focus on executing the plays. You already see a little bit of a communication issue. This is something that they tried to work on during the week. Look, he did not call plays from the huddle at Louisville. Most of the plays were called from the sideline. So it's been the biggest transition and adjustment for him is actually calling the plays in the huddle.
It's Collins on 1st and 10, hit initially by Michael Johnson in the middle there with a gain of a yard up to the 26-yard line. Let's call it 2. As a bit of just past the 26. This is the offensive line. Yonda having a terrific season at the right guard, and the rookie Brown Red starting at that right tackle.
Yeah, his 3rd straight start, Ken. I think he's really played well for the injured James Hurst. They use multiple tight ends in this offense, and Snead, Crabtree, and Brown have been a huge upgrade over what they had a season ago at that position.
Stanley back in at that left tackle. Here's a 2nd down and 8. Here comes Jackson into the secondary. And the rookie bringing him down. Jesse Bates is out of Wake Forest. A gain of 12. Boy, he's quick, isn't he? Out to the 38-yard line.
Well, somebody has to contain, and they don't do it here. And what he's doing is he's just going to read the front. When he sees everybody go down, he's just going to keep it and pull it. And that's going to be the challenge for the Cincinnati defense. You have to set the edge with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson.
Here comes Collins. And hit in the middle, it looked like Geno Atkins wrapped him up high, brought him down. There is no gain on the play. They're going to stay at about the 38.5-yard line. The defense and the strength probably is that defensive line, right?
They have to play better up front. Johnson and Dunlap, 2 very good ends. Geno Atkins, one of the better interior defensive players in football. If there's a weakness right now, to me, it's the inexperience at the linebacker position.
Here's Jackson trying to get a read on him. A big hit in the secondary by Williams and others. He's out to about the 44. That is a gain of 6. Lamar Jackson taking a lot. He was the final 1st-round draft choice quarterback selected in this past draft.
Well, this is an offense that's really struggled to run the ball with Alex Collins and Buck Allen, but when Lamar Jackson's been on the field, look at the numbers, look at the difference, almost 5 yards a carry. He presents a very different look for a defense.
Vontaze Burfict just hopped off the field. He was starting today. He's been injured and he's gone again. Evans takes his place. Jordan Evans, 4 straight runs, 3rd down and 4. We'll try to get an update on Burfict, who came in questionable as it was with a hip. He'll run it again, 3rd and 4. Look at the lead block by Skura into the secondary and brought down by Williams. A gain of 21, had a run earlier of 12. Another 1st down to the 34.
Well, the old quarterback draw, and look, just watch how this works. He's going to take the ball and just works right back up the field. Look at this gap and this hole in the middle of the defense of Cincinnati. And you have to keep your eyes on the quarterback. He's likely to pull it down anytime he sees an opening or a crease in that front.
Edwards is in. And Gus gets the call. Stanley with the block. Skura trying to pry someone free. Brought down by Williams again. That's a gain of 5, and he's down to the 29.
Well, obviously a tailored down game plan for the rookie quarterback. A lot less volume and verbiage when we sat down with offensive coordinator Marty Morningweg on Friday. And look, they're just going to put a package of plays together for Lamar Jackson that he's comfortable with, that he has a history with, even going back to his days at Louisville.
They take out a defensive back. They bring in, the defense does, another linebacker. 2nd down and 5. Jackson looking. The pitch. Brown. And he's chased out of bounds by William Jackson. Bengals read that well. No gain on the play.
Keep in mind, offensive coordinator Marty Morningweg, you look at the assistant head coach Greg Roman, even the quarterback James Urban. They all have a history of working with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. You know, you go back to Marty Morningweg. He worked with Michael Vick in Philadelphia. Roman had Kaepernick and Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. So they have some history of working with mobile quarterbacks.
This is like, hey!
8th play of the drive, 3rd down and 5. Here goes Jackson. And Jackson will chase him. That was William Jackson chasing Lamar Jackson. That's a pickup of 5 down to about the 23. Another 1st down.
I think it's going to be important for this Cincinnati defense not to underestimate the speed of Lamar Jackson, but maybe even more importantly, not to overestimate your own speed. I mean, this guy has rare and unusual speed and quickness to get on the edge of a defense. Good look at Marvin Lewis calling the defensive signals really for the first time going back to his days as a defensive coordinator with the Washington Redskins back in 2002.
And no pass attempts. Here comes Edwards again. Looked like Hardy Nickerson got him around the leg. Gain of 6. He slithers his way down to about the 17-yard line on the 1st drive for Baltimore. Uh-oh.
Well, Michael Crabtree, Kevin,
Here we
we've
go.
seen this
We have
before.
indeed,
Crabtree
yes.
losing his
flag.
patience and the temper.
3 flags, Rich. 3 flags thrown in that scrum. Teams have met once already this season, with the Bengals winning in Cincinnati. Here goes Crabtree and Jackson.
Yeah, just a little extracurricular out there. Jackson didn't like getting blocked by Crabtree, and you have to be able to control your emotions.
Well, then Kirkpatrick comes in, and that, because it looked like Crabtree was about ready to walk away, but after the initial hit.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 27, defense. That division should go. First down.
It's always the second guy, isn't it?
And they always get the second player that jumps in. And I always say, if your passion and your self-interest come before your responsibility to your team, then you put yourself and your team at risk. And sometimes you're just better off walking away. And I know that's very difficult for some of these players.
Kirkpatrick, by the way, had a concussion last week against the Saints. He started every game. He's back in there today for Marvin Lewis, who's got that call sheet, Rich, in his hand. And like you were saying, calling these plays, it's got to be odd for him, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's
weird.
different. You know, when I saw Crabtree out there, though, Ken, I thought for a second Aqib Talib was covering him. Remember all those
Yes.
run-ins they had? We saw a bunch of that
That's
in
right.
Denver and, of course, in
Oh, my
Oakland
gosh.
last year. He's got a history of getting after some of these corners.
First and goal at the 8. Here goes Collins with the fake, and Jackson to about the 7, perhaps. And hit by Nickerson and by Bates. We'll give him a gain of 1 down to the 7-yard line.
Well, you have to contain this quarterback, and you just see they're trying hard. But if you're a defensive end, you come down and you pinch hard. You have to hope that you've got help from the secondary, the second level of that defense. It's a really nice play there by the safety, Jesse Bates, coming down to make that stop around the line of scrimmage.
How about all the sub packages they've had? Ricard in there a couple times as a fullback. Now he's out. Second and goal at the 7. It's Collins. Blocked by Brown. And that is to the pylon and a touchdown. He got a block from the receiver, John Brown. He got a block from the right tackle, Orlando Brown. And he takes it in 7 yards away, and Baltimore is on top on their first possession.
Well, they're actually in good position. They just take a poor angle in the secondary. You look at Darquez Denard, he comes down flat as opposed to coming from outside in. Forcing the run back up inside where you have help. It's a good finish there by Alex Collins.
7th rushing touchdown for Alex Collins, 3rd year back out of Arkansas. Takes it in. Pretty impressive drive. Led by the rookie quarterback Lamar Jackson. Ran for 12 and 21 and 5. And 46 yards cumulatively. Here comes the Tucker extra point. Ravens, 5th opening drive touchdown this season. Only the Chiefs and Saints have more. And they did it in style, but they did it on the ground. Lamar Jackson is averaging about 5 yards a carry, his long at 21. Alex Collins took it in. This team has scored 12 rushing touchdowns, number 6 in the NFL after that one by Collins, Rich.
I think you get a good feel of what this offense and game plan is going to look like with Lamar Jackson under center. 11 plays, all runs to start the game. He had 5 rushes for 46 yards. And this is a game that if you're Cincinnati, you're going to have to make some adjustments on the fly. And I think the first adjustment is finding a way to keep Lamar Jackson caged in the pocket.
Rich, Harbaugh didn't name a starting quarterback. John Harbaugh did not name that starting quarterback all week. He kept the decision very close to his vest.
But he knew on Monday that Joe Flacco most likely wasn't going to be able to make it. So most of the reps went to Lamar Jackson as Flacco didn't practice at all this week.
Erickson is brought down by Kenny Young. Second special teams tackle by Young today. 16-yard return tonight on CBS. Little faith goes a long way. Don't miss a new episode of God Friended Me tonight after 60 minutes. Only CBS. Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, Steve Tasker is on our sideline. Here's a second possession for Andy Dalton and the Bengals. They punted the first time they had it. No A.J. Green, as we mentioned. Toe injury. He did try it before the game. He was scratched an hour and a half before kickoff. Mixon in the backfield, 1st and 10 for Dalton, and this is Mixon. And he's out to about the 22 on a gain of 5, and Suggs and others there to make the stop. Mosley.
Well, without A.J. Green, I think the running backs need to be more involved in the passing game. And teams play Cincinnati differently when A.J. Green's not in the lineup. He gets so much double coverage, and a large portion of their passes, he's at least the first read in the progression for Andy Dalton.
With a second down and 5, here comes Mixon, and he submarines to the 27. Brought down on the play by Pierce and others, and a gain of 5. Let's go to Steve on the sideline.
And one of the problems with Marvin Lewis taking over the defensive play calling is now he's got his back to the football field. He is at the defensive end of the bench talking to his defenders, and every so often he'll peek over his shoulders or stand on his tiptoes to watch the offensive play. He has Hugh Jackson just onto the staff from the Cleveland Browns, is watching closely and in communication.
Here comes
Watching the game.
Dalton, and that is incomplete, and on the ricochet, Jefferson flags thrown. Jefferson on the move, and an incomplete pass.
That ball never hit the ground, though. It
didn't look like.
Number 68, offense.
But it didn't matter.
5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Right tackle Bobby Hart was called right there, the former New York Giant.
A good look at Marvin Lewis. He was telling us last night that he spent most of this week trying to get used to the communication system between he and Hardy Nickerson, who's wearing the helmet audio system for the Bengals, and that's a difference. When he was calling defenses for the Ravens back in the day to Ray Lewis, he said, if I was able to talk to Ray Lewis, no one would have scored on us. So things have changed a lot in the last 15 years.
But Steve brings up a good point. He's back to the basket, so back to the field a lot of the time on 1st and 15. They go out here for Jordan Franks. Jordan Franks was signed off the practice squad on October 23rd. It's a gain of 5. Franks with his second catch.
Well, if you're Andy Dalton, you cannot hold the football against this Ravens defense. The ball has to come out on time. And so what are the keys? Well, I think the quick game is going to be important for Dalton to get the ball out quickly. I think to run the football a little bit at the edges. But you cannot afford to take a second and third hitch against a Baltimore defense that's outstanding at rushing the passer.
With a second down and 10, Dalton almost knocked right into the hands of the player Zadarius Smith. Smith coming through and just about had it the rush linebacker.
Well, we talked to Andy Dalton about this last night. This Baltimore defense leads the league in batted balls. They're excellent at getting their hands up in those throwing lanes. And Dalton said a couple years ago he had 3 or 4 batted in the first half alone. They do a great job. If they can't get there with the rush, they're going to pull off and try and jump up and make it difficult for Dalton to find a throwing window.
Look how crowded they are at the front there. Levine is
11
in.
up.
Yep. Third down and 10. Hart the block at the right tackle. That's deflected and almost knocked into the hands of C.J. Mosley. 3-time Pro Bowler playing that well. Boy, the defense has been stout in the first 2 possessions. Here's another punting situation for Cincy.
Well, this is the problem for the Bengals, has been their third down offense. They've really struggled. Just 29th in third down offense, converting a little over a third of their opportunities. This is an area where they have to be better today against this Ravens defense.
Cyrus Jones has helped the punt return a bit for the Ravens. Here's another one by Kevin Huber, who is from Cincinnati, playing for his hometown Bengals. Waving the arm for the fair catch, 27-yard line, hang time of 4.5, and that's exactly what he should get. 45 yards on the punt. Another look at Lamar Jackson when we come back. 7-zip Ravens on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Macy's, Dell, and the XPS 13 with Dell Cinema, and by Ford. We build things we're proud of.
The National Aquarium here in Baltimore opened up in 1981. Over 51 million people have gone through those turnstiles to see some of the great aquatics. There's a look at Lamar Jackson. What are we going to see on this drive from him, Rich? He was something else on that first
I don't know
drive.
if he's going to throw the ball at all today. I want to see the guy chucking around.
First down and 10. We have a couple tight ends. Here they go at Chris Moore. He's getting some blocking ahead. Mark Andrews leading the way, the tight end, and shuffled out of bounds that time by a couple on the play with a gain of 8.
Let's take a look at the scouting report. Obviously, this is a quarterback with rare athletic ability. I think he's got plenty of arm strength to make all the throws, and certainly he can create some opportunities with his legs. If there's a weakness, I think it's the decision-making and the accuracy throwing the football from the pocket, and hopefully that'll come with time and reps and experience in the system.
Perfect is back in, by the way. 2nd down and 2. Here comes Jackson wanting to throw it and being chased in the play by Hubbard. Not a bounds he is forced as he still runs and still gains some yards near the 39. He gets 2 on that play.
Well, he can create some opportunities for himself and really turn a broken play into a big play, whether it's run or pass. And you know, this guy is unique, Kevin. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that come out of college football with his resume. I mean, his production at Louisville was incredible. Heisman Trophy winner in 2016. He also finished 3rd in the Heisman balloting in his last season at Louisville.
When he won the Heisman, beat out Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield for the honor. 1st down and 10 through the air. Here comes a swirling catch by Nick Boyle. He's forced out of bounds on the near side. Hit over there by Kirkpatrick. It's a gain of 4. He's up to the 43. First trip to New York, James Brown and Phil Simms.
Lions could use a win.
Yeah, they can. Hey, this running play, Kerryon Johnson, 8 yards for the touchdown. I think it's because they practiced in the snow, JB, that got it done. And finally, a pass in Baltimore. Let's throw it back to Kevin, Rich, and Steve Tasker.
You got it, guys. Carolina and Detroit tied at 7. 2nd down and 6 here. We've had a 7-yard touchdown run by Collins. 2 punts by Cincinnati. 2nd possession for the Ravens. 2nd down and 6. And Edwards hit initially on the play by Nickerson. Brought down eventually then in the secondary by the rookie Jesse Bates on a gain of 1 yard.
And we talked earlier this week if in fact the Ravens were to make a change at the quarterback position and you've got Marvin Lewis taking over the play calling duties for the first time, why not jump the football? Why not make things difficult on Marvin, who hasn't called plays in 15 years? It makes it more difficult for him to make substitution and dial up all those blitzes against a rookie quarterback.
Buck Allen is in 3rd and 5, and from behind they get him. Willis, no, they did. Look how slippery Jackson is. Almost picked off on the play by Evans. He pulled a Houdini and got away, but he was almost picked off, and the defense has made some adjustments on that side for Cincinnati.
Well, he's slippery as well, and I think from a defensive perspective, this drives defensive coordinators crazy because you have a quarterback that has athleticism, mobility, escapability, and watch him keep the ball in the throwing position and his eyes downfield off the scramble.
All right, here goes Sam Cook to punt. Number 11 and punts inside the 20. Net, number 11. The back is Erickson from the 17. And down to 3-6, he'll dance and drive, and he got a great block on the play that time from Mark Walton. He got another one from Fetchler. And finally, it's Cook, the punter, that pushes him out of bounds. A terrific return as they continue to see where the spot should be, maybe the 34 of Baltimore. A flag has been thrown. By the way, these special teams of the Ravens, second to none, Rich. They've got a great history of special teams play here.
And when you're struggling on offense like the Bengals are, sometimes a big play in the kicking game can kind of get you jump-started. And we've seen Alex Erickson a couple times this season with some big returns in the kicking game.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 42, return team.
As
10-yard
Fetchler,
penalty, first down.
We called him out. So 38-yard.
Yeah, just really at that point, not even necessary. I mean, just take your profit and move on.
So a 38-yard return is wiped out. Running touchdown by Collins, our only score.
And back here in Baltimore, a look at the newest Bengal, Hugh Jackson. I thought this was a smart hire by Marvin Lewis. Clearly, he knows this division. He's coached in Baltimore and Cleveland and Cincinnati a couple times. And remember, Cincinnati still has to face Cleveland twice this season, and he's been a good assistant coach to Marvin Lewis in the past, really working on both sides of the ball for the Bengals.
Third stint.
Hey, squeeze 40.
Mixon in the backfield. It is a 1st and 10. Dalton back to throw. Time. Glenn with the block. High and over the head of John Ross, who is playing today, even with the bad groin. 2nd and 10.
Look at the numbers with and without Hugh Jackson. Without him, This team has won just 44% of their games, and with them, that number's almost 63%. You talk about a valuable assistant who can help in really all three areas of the game: offense, defense, and the kicking game. But with Marvin taking over the defensive responsibilities, when he's over there talking to the team, you have a coach like Hugh Jackson, who's been a head coach in a couple different NFL cities, who can help kind of monitor the situation and keep things running smoothly.
Nixon trying to get a block from Uzama on 2nd down and 10, picks up 3, hit on the play by Smith. Back to New York with James and Phil.
A highlight reel. Yes, 5 straight games, touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. Watch him just snatch the football out of the air. Those hands, angriest receiver in the NFL. Back to Kevin, Rich, and Steve Tasker.
Houston is red hot, Rich.
He makes some ridiculous catches. Wow. You know, he reminds me a little bit, not body type, but in terms of his hands, he reminds me of Chris Carter, who I played with in Minnesota. He makes those type of catches week in and week out.
Bernard is in 3rd down and 7. Glenn pushes out Suggs. That's incomplete, as you see, as they're going for Tyler Boyd. The coverage by Tavon Young. Here comes the Cincinnati punting unit for a 3rd straight time.
Well, the Ravens make things difficult on you. They pressure you, then they play tight man-to-man coverage on the back end, and it makes it difficult on a quarterback like Dalton. You've got to be deadly accurate with your throws. They're very small lanes and throwing windows when you play so much man-to-man coverage.
Cyrus Jones is back for Huber. Bengals are 5-4. They've lost 3 of 4. From the 10-yard line, Jones, and brought down with a nice tackle by Brandon Wilson. 1-yard return, 42-yard punt. Lamar Jackson has kept it on the ground for most of the day, and his Ravens lead 7-zip.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walt Disney World Resort and by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you.
Well, a good look at Joe Flacco, who hurt that right hip 2 weeks ago against the Steelers. It won't require surgery. He could be back in a couple weeks. And just to his right, a good look at Robert Griffin III, and who I think has been a really good mentor to a young Lamar Jackson. Remember RG3's success early in his career with the Redskins, but he's a very similar type player at the quarterback position.
Collins takes it on 1st and 10, hit by Michael Johnson. No gain on the play. They stay at about the 12. This is Rich, about as important a game that this Raven team has faced this year. They've lost 3 straight, 4 of 5 after beginning the season 4-2.
Really a pair of desperate teams. One of them's missing their starting quarterback, the other missing their best player in A.J. Green. And so you look at the records, Kevin, one's at 5-4, the other 4-5. Both have struggled coming into today's game.
Cincy in 2nd place in the North. 2nd down 10. It's Collins trying to corkscrew his way. Andrew Billings around his ankles at about the 15, gain of about 4.
Let's talk about what Cincinnati has to do. They've got to win on 1st and 2nd down. You know, limit the explosive plays, obviously, but make Lamar Jackson function as a pocket passer on 3rd down. Get him in these 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and long situations where he's not able to have a two-way go. Don't allow them to run the football on 3rd down. That's the key for Cincinnati.
Hey.
3rd down, long 6. Allen with the block in the backfield. There goes Jackson, held, and he got the ball away to Boyle. With a good read on it was Hubbard, who is the terrific rookie out of Ohio State. There is no gain. They stay at the 15. 4th down. Here comes the punting unit.
This is good looking. You'll see the pressure inside, and they're going to bring a 5-man rush. And that's what you have to do, I think, with Lamar Jackson. If you're rushing just 3 and 4, there's too many gaps and too many seams in the defense.
Look at Atkins getting up there through the middle. Geno Atkins, who started every game, has 6 sacks, but has not had one since the Miami game in Cincy about a month ago. 2 guys back here on the Cook punt. It doesn't go very far, it doesn't go very high, and it was retrieved on the play by Darius Phillips, the rookie out of Western Michigan. 41-yard punt, not a lot of hang. And Cincinnati is going to get some pretty decent beginning field position.
And we talked with Bill Lazor last night, the offensive coordinator of the Bengals. He said we've been hot and cold offensively, and you're seeing that through the first quarter. They just haven't really been able to get anything going, and it really makes things difficult without a healthy A.J. Green in the lineup. You know, he's been dealing with that toe injury. They're just, you look at their record, Cincinnati is 4-7-1 when A.J. Green is not in the lineup.
Mixon in. With a 1st and 10, this is Mixon. Jefferson among a couple coming from the defensive back end, limiting him to a gain of 3 to the 46-yard line. They'll return to Baltimore after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Ravens took the opening drive. They had it and got a touchdown run from Collins. 3 straight punts, Rich, for the Bengals in their first 3 possessions. Here is their 4th as we start the second quarter.
Well, just 30 yards of offense in the first quarter. You see that number 0 for 3 on 3rd down, and that's been a problem for the Bengals. They were 0 for 6 last week against the Saints. And this is where you earn your paycheck as an NFL quarterback on 3rd down. They've got to be in manageable numbers on 3rd down against the Ravens today.
Dalton hit his first 4 passes. He's now missed his last 4. 2nd down, 7 hit as he throws here. Boy, there was a big amount of pressure up the middle from Michael Pierce. He came through like a locomotive, disrupted the quarterback with a big play.
A good push and pressure up inside. Keep an eye on the left arm and hand of Pierce as it just scrapes the throwing arm of Andy Dalton. And that bothers quarterbacks more than anything. Pressure and push up inside in the pocket.
Levine is in. 6 in the Baltimore secondary. 3rd down and 7. And he's got Boyd at the other end. Tavon Young was down there covering. Boyd was big in the last couple games against Baltimore's secondary to the 25, a pickup of 29.
It's a really nice job handling the pressure. You're going to see blitz up inside. Just watch the cup. Watch the pocket right here for Dalton. And, of course, a really good throw against man-to-man coverage down the field. Tyler Boyd on Tavon Young.
1st down and 10, screen pass, Mixon. He's got room to roam and looking for a Ross block, and he's brought down by Weddle near the 5. A 21-yard catch and run. 1st and goal, Bengals. Big play by Mixon with nice blocking downfield.
Really nice job on the screen, and this takes a little bit of the edge off the pass rush, and Mixon excellent in the screen game. He's a patient runner in the open field.
Just like that, Cincy 1st and goal.
Yeah, you're right there.
Mixon. They're getting a shove in there, maybe to the 2. A lot of congestion, gain of 2.
Well, this is an area where the Bengals have been outstanding this season. They finish in the red zone. They're converting almost 78% of their red zone opportunities, which is 2nd best in the NFL this season.
Kenny Young at the bottom of the pile with a look at Marvin Lewis. Defensively, his mind's preoccupied. His offense, the 25th ranked offense in pro football. Bill Lazor is the coordinator.
He's going to have to rely on the coordinators more this week.
Right.
Not only Bill Lazor, but special teams coordinator Darren Simmons as well.
2nd down and goal. And it goes out of bounds. Boy, Suggs. There's a flag in the end zone, as you can see. Suggs applying the pressure with a couple of words for a long-time combatant in Andy Dalton.
Prior to the pass, holding number 22, defense. Half the distance to the goal, automatic 1st down.
That's on Jimmy Smith, who played well against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. Baltimore is coming off a bye. They're refreshed. Smith was called right there.
And in talking to some of the Ravens players, they said with A.J. Green out of the lineup, the focus shifts to Tyler Boyd. And they said we're going to treat 83 like he's 18 this week. Just goes to show you the attention to detail and really where the focus shifts without A.J. on the field.
First and goal, Mixon with that heavy push, and he goes through. Jake Fisher was in, paving the way, 1-yard touchdown run. And the celebration.
Well, they get better each week, don't they? And more creative.
They bring in Fisher for that unbalanced line, an extra offensive lineman, 74.
Yeah, you see him right there, lined up the right tight end position. You get those extra bodies, those big offensive linemen. You get some 300-pounders in there that can move some bodies at the point of attack.
They love bringing in Hubbard, too. And Hubbard was in there among those tight ends and the extra blocker, Fisher. Hubbard helping push the pile. And an extra point away from tying the game. So both teams have scored touchdowns on the ground here this afternoon. We're early in the second quarter. 7-7, the kick by Randy Bullock.
The extra point is good.
It's a desperate tandem of teams here, the Bengals and Ravens. With that run, Mixon, the leading rusher. Rich, in the absence of A.J. Green, they come up with a nice long play to Boyd for 29. Mixon then caught one for 21 and eventually the 1-yard touchdown run.
And it's important to get some momentum, especially coming off of that beatdown last week at home against the New Orleans Saints, where they just couldn't seem to get anything going offensively.
D-back is Chris Moore. And to kick off is Randy Bullock. Tied at 7. Second meeting between these two teams from about the 3. Here comes Moore. There's Edwards trying to give a block, and then he's brought down. Sean Williams, you see there, with a grab up high, 27-yard line, 24-yard return. Let's go to Steve on the sideline.
After that last drive by the Baltimore Ravens, when the Bengals got a stop on third down, the entire Bengals bench really came up off the bench and were cheering for that last 3rd and 5 stop that the Bengals defense got. And the fact they carried that momentum into that last offensive drive, went all the way down and got a touchdown to tie it. Yeah, Marvin Lewis spent a lot of time with the defense, says be responsible on 1st and 2nd down, get them to 3rd and long, and we've got a chance.
Rich, it's called complementary football.
It really is. And, you know, I think the key for the Bengals defensively, they've got to make this a 3rd down game.
86 offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Tight end Nick Boyle.
They've got to make this a 3rd down game for the rookie quarterback. 3rd down's the toughest down in football, and it's where the game speeds up. You see a lot of different fronts and coverages and pressures, some things that maybe Lamar Jackson hasn't seen or prepared for during the week. And so if they can win on the early downs and force him to function and operate on 3rd and 7+, then they feel like they've got a chance.
Edwards in, he gets the call, 1st and 15, plowing his way up there with all kinds of Bengals getting their hands on him on a gain of 5, Rich, up to the 27.
Well, the key is 3rd and 5 or less for the Ravens. And if they get in those 3rd and 5 or less situations, especially when they cross midfield, it could be 4-down territory. They may run the football a lot on 3rd and 5 or less, knowing that they pick up 3 or 4 yards and they still have a manageable situation on 4th down. We could see the Ravens going for it on 4th down in the plus territory.
2nd down and 10. Edwards the block on Johnson, and there it goes up to Willie Snead. He is the leading receiver in terms of receptions. It's a gain of 9. He's up to the 36-yard line.
This is a good rep for Lamar Jackson. Watch the feet. He just trusts the protection. He sits in there and he makes a good, accurate throw. And I always say that footwork and accuracy are directly related. It's complete or incomplete based on your feet. They go hand in hand. And when his feet are quiet at the top of his drop, he could be a very accurate passer.
Robert Griffin III has checked in, playing the role of Lamar Jackson. Jackson playing the role of Flacco. 3rd and 1. And the quarterback takes it himself. That is Jackson, who will plow for the first down. RG3. First time he has been active, Rich, this season. The gain of 2, and it's a first down.
Yeah, and he's a little different than Joe Flacco, who just really stands out there kind of uninterested. You know, and listen, when you have a guy like RG3, Kevin, he can do a lot more. I mean, you can throw it to him. He got a double pass. I think you have more options and opportunities with a mobile Robert Griffin III to pair with Lamar Jackson.
He hasn't played since 2016 with Cleveland. Here comes Jackson taking it here. Good read on him right there by Darquez Dennard. shoulder injury, returning today. He had no surgery on that shoulder, but he's missed 3 games, including New Orleans last week.
You just see him screaming off the top. This could be an 8-man front type of game for the Bengals to commit to stopping Lamar Jackson and the Ravens rushing attack. I think it's critical that they make things difficult for Jackson at the line of scrimmage.
Nickel secondary here for Cincy. 2nd down and 9 for Lamar Jackson, and he's got Crabtree in front of the linebacker Evans. It's a gain of 8 to the 46.
We were talking in our production meeting last night. I said, let's be honest. If you're these receivers for the Ravens, you're excited for the rookie quarterback, but you know that your opportunities are probably going to go way down. I mean, you think about Brown and Crabtree and Snead. I mean, with Flacco, Kevin, they're one of the top passing offenses in football in terms of attempts. And you look at where we're at through the first half here. They've run the ball 19 times. They've only thrown it 5 times.
Full house here, 3rd and 1. And Gus Edwards takes it with a hit in there by Carlos Dunlap and a gain of 2. And he's got the first down just beyond the 48-yard line. Rich, it does help today that Ronnie Stanley, the left tackle, is back. He was inactive a couple weeks ago against Pittsburgh, but he is back starting at left tackle today for that Baltimore offensive line.
And he's a road grader in the running game, and he's improved tremendously in terms of pass protection. He's got excellent feet and good hands.
Ricard is there, Collins in the backfield. They'll block. Here comes Atkins, and there goes Boyle, the tight end, looking for a block downfield from Moore. Evans and a couple others down there to get him. Big 16-yard catch and run to the 35.
Well, you're going to see the action away. He's going to come back out, and they just changed the launch point for Lamar Jackson. The boots, the nakeds, getting him on the edge of the defense where he's much more comfortable and accurate.
Eighth play of the drive. Rushing touchdowns both ways. Fake to Collins. Here comes Jackson. And Bates will rush him out of bounds. He gets as far as the 27, pickup of 8.
Well, this isn't a subtle game plan shift when you go from Flacco to Jackson. It's a dramatic departure in terms of their playbook. It's a completely different set of plays and concepts, and everyone has to adjust. The offensive line, the tight ends, the running backs, the receivers. You know, I was kidding with a couple of the receivers on Friday. Kevin said, you might want to change shoulder pads. Maybe go out and get some bigger, thicker shoulder pads because you're going to be blocking a lot more on the perimeter.
2nd down and 2. Jackson, here comes Hubbard, and down he goes. Billings came from the side. Hubbard came in there. That's the first sack. Steve Tasker's on the sideline. How has defensively the Bengals been able to take in and out defensive players?
Yeah, it was a problem in the first series when all the Ravens did was run it 11 times. They struggled to keep up with the Ravens' personnel changes. In fact, the officials stepped in once because the Ravens were going at such a pace, they didn't allow the Bengals to do it. Now they have a better handle on it, and they're getting a much better feel on their sidelines from Marvin Lewis.
Rich, you've noticed that too, haven't you?
Absolutely. The tempo is going to be important today against the Bengals.
3rd and 7. Here comes Snead, grabbed by Williams, staying on his feet. A flag has been thrown. It was a gain of 10 on 3rd and 7. Let's see what that flag is all about, which rests at the 20.
Pass interference, number 89, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
The rookie tight end, Mark Andrews.
Well, this is a team that uses multiple tight ends. They've got 4 on the roster. They play various roles in the offense. You see Andrews there, number 89. He's just going to get a little bit of a chip. And you just can't do that. Just run the route. It's a natural screen. No reason to lower that right shoulder. Usually if you make an effort to extend your arms, your hands, or even lower the shoulder, they usually call that.
Ty Montgomery is in. 3rd down 17. They got Montgomery in a trade with Green Bay. Here comes Hubbard again. And that is going to be incomplete. Crabtree was down there. Coverage by Bates near the 15-yard line. 4th and 17 And here comes the punting unit.
Well, sometimes the best play, the only play, is to throw it away and live for another down. It's a good decision there from Lamar Jackson.
That penalty, Rich, took him out of field goal range. So shoves him back. Erickson is back. Here's Sam Cook. Sam Cook is the 7th leading punter in the NFL right now in punts inside the 20. He can be pretty accurate. Let's see what he does right here on basically a windless 48-degree day in Baltimore. That's a beauty. Fair caught at about the 8 by Erickson. 33-yarder, well placed. 6:41 second quarter with a look at the first-time starter in his career, Lamar Jackson.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Honda. Hurry into the Happy Honda Day sales event today. Walmart. Light up Christmas at Walmart. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Rich, this is the first half resume for the Bengals so far. We're tied at 7.
Well, not the kind of start they were looking for, but they got it together on their 4th drive of the game, finishing with a touchdown. An impressive drive, 6 plays, 57 yards.
After the punt, Bernard in, 1st and 10. Blocked by Glenn, off to Bernard. With a good beat on it, Owasso. On the side, makes the stop, and a minimal gain. Let's give him 2 on the play.
We talked about a pair of desperate teams. The Ravens have lost 4 of their last 5. They're coming off their bye. The Bengals 3 of their last 4. And there's got to be a sense of urgency with both teams. You know, you look at Marvin Lewis. There was such a sense of urgency this week. He fired a defensive coordinator. So he couldn't sleep on Sunday night. He knew something wasn't right with that defense.
Baltimore 1 game out of the playoff picture. Right now, Cincinnati number 6. Second wild card. Bernard on 2nd down and 8. Into a thicket, not there. Mosley was there. And Suggs plugging it up. Rich, only a gain of 3.
I think Mosley's one of the best interior linebackers in all of football. I mean, he once again leads this defense in tackles with 59. He plays sideline to sideline. He's an excellent communicator in the middle of that defense. And he's also an outstanding blitzer.
Secondary has slipped a little bit, though, Rich, last couple of weeks for Baltimore. Opponents are going for those shorter, quicker passes.
You know, they have not played as well in their man-to-man schemes.
They need the 19, 3rd down and 6 for Andy Dalton with a block from Bernard. And a throw up the middle. That was for Boyd. Coverage on the play by Marlon Humphrey. They were going for what we just talked about, in the middle and short, and it didn't work.
Well, you got to handle the pressure. But Baltimore blitzes and pressures as much, if not more, than any defense in football. And you better have a plan and handle it earlier. Trust me, you're going to see it all day long.
Here's Huber now. Again, the wind is minimal here inside the stadium. Another punt for the Bengals. Deep back is Cyrus Jones. He was a high pick by New England, and he's back drifting to about his 34. Flag is down, and the hit and tackle was made by Malik Jefferson, among others, along with Wilson. 12-yard return, 53-yard punt with a flag. Flag is at the 38 to our right. With a look at Walt Coleman. Flew in with his crew yesterday, Rich. They did, and I was told that they were talking about this game as being one of the better games in the NFL. A lot of moving parts to it, and they've been on their most opportune look at what's going on in this one early on.
I think anytime these two teams get together, you know it's going to be a physical game. It's a divisional game. They very familiar with one another, and really, you look at Cincinnati. They've won 8 of the last 10 against the Ravens, including 3 of the last 4 here in Baltimore. Look at this. You got the punter involved.
Yeah, and then Evans is getting in there too, Judon.
I always like it when the punter's not afraid to roll up his sleeves, Kevin, and get his hands dirty.
During the kick, illegal block in the back, number 40 of the kicking team. That 10-yard penalty we've added on to the end of the play. First down.
All right, about 5 to play in the first half, tied at 7. Big game in the AFC North on CBS. Welcome back to Baltimore, and a really good start for Lamar Jackson so far.
Love how he runs the football. 9 carries already for 60 yards. You see the quarterback draw in the first quarter on 3rd down. I think he's thrown the ball pretty well from the pocket. He's 5 of 7. The ball's coming out quick. He's making good decisions, and most importantly, he's taking care of the football.
After the punt, the 3-and-out by Cincinnati, and a penalty. It's down to the 44, 1st and 10, Jackson. Across the middle, he's got Snead. Coverage by Denard. Gain of 9, Steve Tasker to the 35.
Between those last offensive series, Lamar Jackson spent the entire time sitting with James Urban, the quarterback coach. Urban was holding the surface, pointing to a number of things. Jackson obviously sitting there with his eyes on it, nodding as if he understood. Of course, RG3 and Joe Flacco also hovering around that huddle as well. Everybody trying to get Lamar Jackson ready for every series.
2nd down and 1, Edwards. Perfect down a hand down on 1st and brought down by Nickerson. Gain of 6. That's a 1st down, Rich, to the 29.
You know, I think you got to be careful with a young quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Sometimes too many voices aren't a good thing. You know, you've got Joe Flacco telling him something, RG3 telling him something, the quarterback coach telling him something, the offensive coordinator telling him something. Kevin, I remember my first start. I came out of there. I didn't know what was going on. It was the game was moving too fast for me, you know. And sometimes you let the guy take a deep breath, settle down, and just maybe give him 1 or 2 things to think about for the next series.
Makes sense. 1st and 10. They'll get the run here by Edwards. Brought down by Johnson. He came off the practice squad. The rookie free agent out of Rutgers did back in the middle of October. A 12-yard pickup and a 1st down to the 17.
Well, we've seen so much of this, and you get all the focus, and now they just come back with this. And you're trying to protect the edge. You see how disciplined they are, the end man on the line of scrimmage, and now all of a sudden you bust one up inside with Gus Edwards. All your focus and all your attention is on number 8, and you forget about number 35 screaming up through the A-gap.
He's averaging over 5 yards a carry. Collins in now. A little collision back there. And here comes Collins with a nice run, carving his way down to about the 13. Gain of 4 on the play. Vontaze Burfict makes the stop.
Well, the Ravens have really struggled running the ball before making the quarterback change. They were just 27th in rushing, averaging just a little over 92 yards a game on the ground. Alex Collins was just averaging 3.7. Buck Allen just 2.7 a carry. And they haven't had a 100-yard rusher versus Cincinnati since 2011. That 100-yard rusher today, maybe Lamar Jackson.
2nd down and 6. Here comes Jackson. Strung out and forced down. Close to the 1st down. Denard is the one to make the contact at about the 8-yard line on the near sideline.
He's got explosive ability with the ball in his hands. He's a terrific runner. He's got great vision, and he's been smart today to avoid the unnecessary hit. He's done a good job with a sense of urgency, getting out of bounds and not taking those hits.
127 yards on the ground right now for Baltimore, Rich. 1st half.
They're going to look a lot different until they get Joe Flacco back with Lamar Jackson. It's going to be much more run-oriented when you look at this offense.
Ricard is in 3rd and 1, and that baby is blood. There's a timeout taken by Cincinnati. They're first. 5 and 4 Bengals, the 4 and 5 Ravens.
First team timeout, Cincinnati. 30-second timeout.
We're just before the 2-minute break, as you can see, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Bill Cowher, scores, news, and highlights. All coming up from our CBS studios in New York. The Verizon Halftime Report. Jim Haslett is the linebacker coach for Marvin Lewis. He's now got Hugh Jackson on. That's 3 head coaches, 2 former and 1 current on that Cincinnati staff.
Well, Jim Haslett, former head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He's been a defensive coordinator in a number of different cities and towns, NFL towns, and he's a good one. And there's Hugh Jackson, and I just think that was a great hire. Someone who knows the building, the personnel, the players, and certainly this NFC North division.
Illuminor is an extra lineman in on the left side. And look at the drive right there by Gus Edwards on a 3rd and 1 with a flag. Perfect trying to get him. Flag back at the 10.
Holding, number 42, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Patrick Ricard, we're at the 2-minute warning. Rushing touchdowns both ways. 2 desperate teams on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by the Smart Cash Card from Capital One.
So Charm City Cakes makes these helmet cakes. Well, Rich didn't know it was a cake and put it on, and that people did not eat the cake after that. I'm just.
I didn't realize it was the red velvet cake until it started dripping in my left eye.
Then you took it off. You had red hair.
That was actually really good.
It was terrific. We thank the folks over at Charm City Cakes. That looks pretty good.
Heck, I'm going to thank Stuart Milstein, who made all that happen, and was kind enough to offer me a piece of cake this morning.
Ron Burgundy here. We're at the 2-minute warning, 3rd down and 11. And little sidearm throw caught by Snead, diving to the 10. Hit initially by Denard, picked up 8, and it was 3rd and 11, so it's 4th and 3, and the Bengals have just called time. What would you do here, Rich?
Well, I think they're going to kick the field goal. Look, at 7-all. I mean, they talked about this on the sideline. I'm sure if they could pick up 8 yards and get it to 4th and 2 or less, maybe go for it. Maybe even jump the ball, but I think this is the smart play in a tight 7-all game. The best, if not the best kicker in all of football. This is automatic. You look at Tucker, he's made 32 straight field goals from inside 40.
He's terrific from 50. 2-time Pro Bowler, most accurate kicker of all time, Justin Tucker. A lot of people have continued to point to that missed extra point against New Orleans a couple weeks ago, which cost him, but here he is with a 28-yard field goal try. This could give Baltimore the lead. Minimal win. The Telltales are basically limp, and that puts 3 on the board for the Ravens, who take a 3-point lead, 10-7 over Cincinnati. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from Walmart. We should note, to get that cake off Rich's head, we went to Lowe's and got a crowbar to take it off. So we thank Lowe's for that.
I see how you tied that in there. That was very creative.
Yeah, that's the way we do things here.
Look at Lamar Jackson talking to Michael Crabtree, and that's going to be important for the receivers to be able to communicate. You see Snead there to Lamar Jackson. This is a first-year quarterback. He's going to be seeing things a little bit differently maybe than Flacco, and so the communication between quarterbacks and receivers is always vital.
Erickson's going to leave it in the end zone out to the 25 with a timeout, and the 1st and 10 coming up for the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 35 against the Giants. Ravens showed why they are considered to be one of the greatest defenses in NFL history. Dwayne Stark's 49-yard pick 6. Ray Lewis was named the MVP, and it was a 34-7 win over the Giants, whose only points were scored on a kick return. Marvin Lewis was the defensive coordinator of that Baltimore team under head coach Brian Billick. And this season, CBS is the home of Super Bowl 53.
I can attest that was a good defense. I played against them in the AFC Championship game that year.
1st and 10 for Ross. Coverage in the secondary by Brandon Carr, who is starting his 170th consecutive game. A flag has been thrown back at the 36.
You look at this Baltimore defense, and it's a defense that's built on.
There's no foul on the play. 2nd out.
You know, not a lot has changed. You go back and look at that video of that Super Bowl defense with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed. I mean, the names and numbers have changed, but this is still a defense that's built on pass rushers, active, fast-flowing linebackers, and very good cover corners. In this particular defense, they have excellent depth and talent at all 3 levels of this unit.
It's a 2nd down and 10, and Bernard hit by Levine. Shy of the 30, mark him at the 28 with a gain of 3. Levine is a pretty important guy when they go to 6 in the secondary. Has a sack and a pick this season. Began with Green Bay in their camp years ago. 3rd and 7.
And somebody's got to win against man-to-man coverage.
Moving up is Dalton. He needs the 35. He's got the first down and then some up to the 46-yard line. Hits the deck. Gain of 20 on the play and a first down.
This is what happens when you play man-to-man coverage. Everyone has their backs turned to the quarterback. And Dalton's a smart guy. He knows it's man-to-man coverage. Look at all that green grass in front of him.
First down and 10. Dalton with time and overshoots Uzama, who is running across the middle. Second down and 10. They've lost all kinds of tight ends on this team. 4 tight ends for the Bengals have gone to IR this year. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from our CBS studios in New York. JB and company. Next, the Verizon halftime from CBS. 2nd and 10, Rich.
Kevin, you look at this Cincinnati offense, Andy Dalton may have to run a little bit more today because you're going to see a lot of man-to-man coverage. He doesn't have A.J. Green, and they're most likely going to double Tyler Boyd any chance they get.
Bernard back there, 6 in the secondary. 2nd down and 10 for Dalton. Glenn, they lost the ball. He may have picked it out. He just dropped it down to his belt and held on to it low, but held on to it nonetheless. A lot of pressure on the play. First sack by Baltimore, back to the 43 of Cincinnati. Judon and others were there.
Well, you ask yourself what's been missing. The sack production's dropped off significantly since week 6 when they set that franchise record with 11 sacks versus the Titans. Kevin, you and I were there.
Yes, we were.
Since then, they've had just 2 sacks in 3 games versus the Saints, Panthers, and Steelers. Now, they're good quarterbacks, but that's something that's been a point of emphasis this week, getting around Dalton and getting him on the ground.
Baltimore a timeout. Bowser was in there as well with Judon. Judon had a sack against Roethlisberger a couple weeks ago, coming off a bye. John Harbaugh, the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, was saying that, we'll come back refreshed. We've faced a couple teams recently that have been coming off byes. They were refreshed, and his record is pretty good after byes here in Baltimore, is Harbaugh's.
How about 8-2 under John Harbaugh coming off the bye, and I think he knows how to get his team to the finish line. They've always been a good team in December, and they've always been an excellent team here in Baltimore.
Came into the season with the owner saying, yep, last year I did consider maybe a change at head coach, and then the more I thought about it, the more I decided to stick with what we've got. Puts a lot on this game, though. 3rd and 14. Dalton going deep. And there's some contact back there, and Cody Kerr can't get free with the coverage by Carr. Brandon Carr, the veteran who came from Dallas last year, 11-year player with a nice coverage on Cody Kerr, who is downfield for the Bengals.
Well, the Ravens defensive coordinator, Don Wink Martindale's got a philosophy. He's got an aggressive approach to defensive football. He believes in applying constant pressure on the quarterback.
5th punt in 6 possessions for Cincinnati. Whoa, that was close. Moore came through. Flag is down. And the ball, as you see, is going to go to about the 25, 26-yard line. 31-yard punt.
I think he got a piece of that with his right hand.
That was Moore who came through. The receiver, return specialist.
I think he gets just a piece of it.
I think you're right.
Kind of deflect it. You can see the rotation in the ball.
Holding, number 45, Kingington. A 10-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the play. First down.
That's Malik Jefferson, who is called right there, former Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
You're going to see him. He's the end man on the line of scrimmage, and don't get enough of him, and he just gets that right arm in there just enough to.
How about Moore, Rich? He kind of sidesteps the punter, knew that he can't go ramming his way into him, and he did a nice little pirouette or a little ballet move to lunge but not make contact.
Kevin, you mentioned it earlier. They've got one of the best special teams coordinators in all of football, Jerry Rosberg, and he's done it at a high level. And they've always been very sound in the kicking game. Great return units, great coverage units. Absolutely excellent specialist, a great kicker and punter here in Baltimore.
Couple timeouts on 1st and 10. Here comes Edwards, and at the bottom of the pile they have Billings. Rich, what's your philosophy here as the clock is at 19 seconds?
I think you just run the ball and go into halftime and make some adjustments with your young quarterback.
Back in 30 seconds after this from Walmart. So you think take a shot here, Rich?
I think if you pick up about 22, 23 yards, you've got a chance.
2nd down and 10. Montgomery was in. Getting cut up in the wake right there is Jackson on the fly, and he's got an open receiver with a nice catch. He sure does. Grabbed by John Brown, picks up 23, takes it down to the Cincinnati 38.
A gain of 23 yards. First down, Baltimore.
Would make a 55-yard kick for
Yes,
Tucker.
it would. He's great over 50.
We talked about his escapability, his ability to extend plays, and this is going to make things difficult on the linebackers and the secondary of the Bengals. You know, your time clock has to adjust with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Covering for 3 or 4 seconds isn't sufficient. You've got to be able to kind of hang on.
And it's two-part, too. The receiver's got to react to a scrambling quarterback.
Right. This guy's a lot different than Flacco, and so, you know, Joe's more of a pocket passer. You're not going to see a lot of off-schedule throws with Flacco.
8 seconds to go to the sideline. Incomplete. Now we're down to 5. It would be a 56-yard try by Tucker, who now trots out of the field and tries to extend this Baltimore lead. 8 consecutive 50-plus yard field goals by Justin Tucker. 3 this season.
You know, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, you mentioned the kicker. They've got a great holder with the punter, Sam Cook. They've got an excellent long snapper, actually a Pro Bowler, Morgan Cox. So you need a good snap, a good hold, and obviously a good kick from Justin Tucker. You got to drive this one a little bit.
Minimal wind, 56 yards. Justin Tucker. Yep. Wow.
Right down the middle.
It is right down the middle indeed. Tucker. 56 yards. Takes us to halftime in a lead of 13-7.
Good snap, good hold, good kick.
Halftime is next after these first half highlights from Verizon. And a word from your local CBS station. Half field goals by Baltimore, 1 of 56 by Tucker, 13-7 is the halftime score. The Ravens, as we take a look at the gain of the first half, and it came late in the first half as Jackson was scrambling well and then found his receiver Brown to move the ball downfield.
It set up the Tucker field goal right before the half, and his ability to extend plays is going to be a big challenge, I think, the rest of the way for the Cincinnati defense.
So our lead was Lamar Jackson, first NFL start, the rookie. What do you think through one half of football?
He's done a nice job. I think the big story in the first half is the rushing differential, Kevin. You look at the Ravens, they've had 131 rushing yards in the first half. Cincinnati has just 34 rushing yards, and as a result, they've got just 26 offensive snaps. That's not enough. And certainly that affects the time of possession, which has been a problem all season for the Bengals. The 31st in time of possession. And so the Ravens have had the ball twice as much in the first half. And a big reason why is their ability to run the football. Lamar Jackson, he's been terrific. And of course, Gus Edwards is getting more carries. He's already got 8 carries in this game. And of course, Alex Collins with a touchdown run in the first half, but 131 rushing yards in the first half. And that's been the big story, and that's the adjustment I think the Bengals have to make. It's going to be that type of game. It's going to be a physical running football game with the backs, and certainly you have to account for Lamar Jackson as well.
Time of possession's interesting too. Joe Flacco technically is inactive for the first time in his career. He, of course, blew the MCL and ACL a couple years ago, but he was immediately put on IR. So I guess that's a form of being inactive, but technically first time he has been inactive. Our second half is underway. Here's Moore, and initially hit on the play by Brandon Wilson with a 20-yard return. Steve Tasker's on the sideline.
Kevin, I spoke to both coaches at halftime. Marvin Lewis said, listen, on our running game for our offense, we just need to squeeze out another yard per run and finish those runs a little more. Also on defense, they've got to tackle Lamar Jackson, get him on the ground, contain him. You know he can pull the ball down. You've got to be ready for that. And, of course, John Harbaugh said he loves what Lamar Jackson's doing. He's confident Lamar Jackson's going to generate a couple of big plays with his arm, not so much his legs. And his defense, a little disappointed in the penalties that have been called on his defense and his offense, but he likes the way they're staying physical and executing.
It's Edwards on 1st and 10. They love the way he makes the cut and then drives And you can see it right there. Bates had a hand on that stop. It's a gain of 15. Good way for them to start the second half.
And watch this block here, and then you come up on the second level, and that opens up a big crease for Gus Edwards. But I love the fact that Lewis is able to come off and get a block on Nickerson on the second level.
55's the mic.
First and 10. And Edwards, like we said before, rookie free agent out of Rutgers, and wrapped up that time by Andrew Billings with the gain of 6 up to the 43. They do begin the second half here with their left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. He and Eliminor have been kind of going back and forth at that position all day.
It's tough when you have changes up front. It affects the continuity in terms of the run game blocks, certainly the communication and the pass protection as well.
Collins, the running back. Second down and 4. Jackson with the cut. They'll dance on Dunlap's picked off by Williams. Sean Williams takes it. He breaks a Snead tackle and takes it down the near side, near the 31. First interception thrown by Lamar Jackson, 21-yard return.
Well, trying to make something happen, and he just never feels Sean Williams fall off. He's got his eyes set on trying to throw that football up the field. See the movement there with Lamar Jackson. Doesn't really have his feet set, just makes a poor decision. He's able to come in there and make the tackle. I had a college coach tell me, you better learn to tackle because you're going to throw a lot of interceptions. I never forgot that. He's actually a pretty good tackler, Kevin Harlan.
He is indeed. We talked to him last night. University of Georgia Bulldog from the 32 with Mixon in the backfield. It's Dalton out to Mixon. And he's got some room to roam. Belts it on the sideline on that play after an 11-yard pickup and hit by Chuck Clark in the secondary for Baltimore.
A lot of times when you have a sudden change of possession, an offensive coordinator will call a shot play, and that's exactly what that was, and it wasn't there down the field. And so Andy Dalton does a nice job checking the ball down to Joe Mixon.
Dalton hit his first 4 passes. Now he's gone 4 of 13 since. First and 10, Mixon. He got away from one. That was Williams. And then he's harnessed in by Urban with no gain, maybe a half-yard gain in the play just outside the 20.
Second down.
The big thing with Joe Mixon is to be more decisive and not try and hit a home run every carry. I think he's a guy that wants to try and score, and they've really worked on his landmarks and being a little bit more disciplined with his eyes and really taking what's there as opposed to trying to bounce everything to the edge.
Into the nickel, second down, 9 for Dalton. And he's got his receiver, Uzomah, the tight end, with a twirling catch. He had Weddle down there, had the linebacker Mosley down there. 16-yard pickup, first and goal.
A really nice route. You're going to see the tight end, Uzomah, working on C.J. Mosley, and just a good adjustment to a back shoulder throw. Good clean pocket for Andy Dalton.
How about Uzomah began the season as the 3rd tight end, and now he's number 1. They've lost Eifert, and they've continued. Croft was put on IR this week.
And didn't even cover Joe Mixon.
Timeout. Boy, Mixon was ticked off. You could see it, Rich. Dalton, by the way, is very good inside the red zone. His numbers in the red zone have been much better than what he's done the rest of the field.
And Joe Mixon was frustrated because he went out there and no one from the Ravens went out and matched up with him. You're going to see Mixon, he's just...
Andy Dalton, past 5 games against teams in the AFC North, Rich, 13 touchdown passes and no interceptions against teams in this division. Last 5, and here he goes now.
He's been excellent down in the red zone.
Yes, he has. 14 touchdowns and a pick in the red zone this year.
Hey, big rule.
first and goal at the 4, and he's got another one. Throws that laser and caught that time by Matt Lingle. 4-yard touchdown reception by the big tight end, who was signed in early October.
Well, this is unusual. They don't even cover the tight end. He's working right over the middle of the ball. Just watch this opening. I mean, Andy Dalton must be stunned. Both the linebackers work to the right and to the left, and that's just you don't typically see that in this league. And there's the guy that helped make it happen with the big interception, the safety, Sean Williams.
They cash in on the turnover by the rookie quarterback and the Williams pick, and a 4-yard touchdown pass with the extra point by Bullock. And just like that, the Bengals have taken a 1-point lead. The rookie quarterback with his first pick. Williams comes up with it, and Lingle did too. Taking advantage of the interception, they go in on the touchdown pass. Andy Dalton throwing that one 4 yards to the tight end, Lingle. Lingle was signed off the Houston Texans practice squad, as we said, on October 10th. Originally was on Cincinnati's practice squad in the ensuing kickoff. Bengals had their first lead today. Moore on a bounce near the goal line, and look out.
That's a bad decision.
Wow.
He was in between what to do.
Wilson's been in on a lot of stops today. 9-yard return. The SEC on CBS features some great Thanksgiving weekend football. On Friday, you'll miss Arkansas battling Missouri. Then on Saturday, it's the 83rd edition of the Iron Bowl, with Auburn heading to Tuscaloosa to take on #1 Alabama. That's tomorrow, and this week on CBS, I should say this week on CBS, this Thanksgiving holiday week is underway, and it begins with this big game in the north here this afternoon. 5-4 Cincinnati, 4-5 Baltimore. How does the rookie quarterback respond after throwing his first interception? He takes it himself. Jackson, Williams over there, watching him run out of bounds. More rushing yards. 11 right there for Jackson. He's got on the ground, Rich, 11 carries, 75 yards.
Yeah, as a young quarterback, it's important to quickly turn the page. You know, whether you throw a touchdown or an interception, you have to be able to move on and really focus on the task at hand, and that's going to be important here for Lamar Jackson on this drive.
Nice catch with the throw by Boyle. Tripped up in the backfield by the rookie Jesse Bates. It's a gain of 15. Breathing space now for Baltimore.
You see the play action shot right at you, and this is tough to defend. You're so concerned about Lamar Jackson running the football that you leave a huge void in the middle of the defense for the tight end Boyle.
1st and 10. Busy pocket, and the ball was ricocheted off of a hand. I'm not sure if it was Dunlap or Billings.
Well, he changes his arm angle. He throws it right in the back of the head of his left guard, Lewis. See how he changes?
Right.
He throws
exactly
kind of a sidearm
right.
throw, and this thing, he'll be in the film session tomorrow, and I can promise you that Alex Lewis is going to have something to say to him.
Starting left guard. 2nd down and 10. Edwards, a little misdirection. And around his waist he finds Willis. Drags him down after a gain of 5. Up to the 41. So Edwards, Rich, today has carried it 11 times. Coming into this game, he had only carried it 15 times for Baltimore.
And he's been impressive. I like the fact he's kind of a no-nonsense runner.
Exactly.
He makes quick decisions. He heads downhill with a purpose. And you saw him get a lot more work at practice on Friday with the ones.
Collins dances a little bit. This guy hits the deck hard. Buck Allen is in 3rd and 5.
There's the quarterback draw again.
He takes it himself. Perfect. Along with Anderson, we'll get him.
And this is what they talked about, 4-down territory. So what happens is John Harbaugh tells offensive coordinator Marty Morningweg after 2nd down, hey, this is 4-down territory. Keep that in mind as you call this 3rd down play, knowing that they've got a chance to go for it here on 4th down. Kind of an aggressive call at this point in the game, but something that they talked about and rehearsed during the week.
So just 4 in the secondary, 4th and 1. Ricard is in. Edwards is in. Takes it again. Well, there's a big stick over there. Cincinnati thinks they've won this one. Nickerson with a big hit. Nickerson with a big hit at that linebacker, made the first contact. And let's see the spot.
He's going to go off that B gap outside the left tackle. There's no one there to block the end man on the line of scrimmage. I think he's short.
He is. And on downs, Baltimore turns it over in their own zone to Cincinnati.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Kay Jewelers. For all the moments, for love, forever. Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by State Farm. Here to help life go right.
Baltimore coach John Harbaugh, while we were away in commercial, threw the challenge flag out there. So it was on the spot.
Yeah, keep an eye. He's not down here. He's still moving and twisting and turning, and then he extends the ball. And a question, these are always tough challenges because they're tough to tell.
Really on the field stands. Baltimore will be charged.
Nickerson got him first. The Ray hit him high. Nickerson got him low, and they stop him. So Cincinnati's defense does the job there.
Well, the problem is that you get this big scrum and all these bodies. It's tough to tell whether or not with the reach his knee is down, any part of his body is down, and even when he reaches, you can't really tell where the ball ends up. Good play there by Nickerson.
Marvin Lewis used to coach his dad in Pittsburgh. Second straight start in Baltimore Raven territory for the Cincinnati Bengals, who scored the last time they had the ball after an interception by Williams. And a 4-yard touchdown pass to Lingle. The fake. Here comes the rush by Smith. Mosley's got a beat on Uzama. They say he was down after a catch and a gain of 5. Uzama is down near the 40-yard line of Baltimore. Referee or the official said he was down. Let's see if he's down.
Yeah, I think he's down.
I think he is too. Mosley did a nice job, though, trying to strip it, rip it, make the tackle on the play.
We work every day on ball extraction at practice.
With a second down and 5, it's Mixon. Not much there. Pierce and others combining on the stop, limiting him to a gain of 2. Rich down to about the 39. Gene Steratore, our NFL rules analyst, is with us. Gene, what did you see on that play moments ago?
The first down play, I think the difficult part about this play is that when Jackson reaches, although we see the football look like it went beyond the line to gain, his left arm, which gets lost in the pile of bodies, we don't know if that elbow is down or not. Remember, we have to see conclusive evidence to overturn, so not knowing whether he's down with that left arm can't give us that full advantage of the ball.
And he was ruled shy. Thank you very much, Gene. 3rd and 3. It goes outside here to Tyler Boyd, who will dance a little bit. Brought down on the play by Kenny Young. Picks up 4. That is a Cincinnati first down to the 34 of Baltimore.
I really like what I've seen from Tyler Boyd. He's having a fine season. One of the most improved players on this team. In fact, he's already more than doubled his production from last season. And with A.J. Green out of the lineup, he takes on an even more important role today for the Bengals. He's going to see a lot more double coverage.
Couple catches and both on 3rd down for him today. 1st and 10. Boyd, he wants to throw. Going deep, but double coverage and incomplete for Erickson. They had a couple down there, including Marlon Humphrey. Weddle was in the vicinity. That's an incomplete pass.
Well, I like the idea, but he's just going to come back across, and they're just going to try and get the ball down the field. But they're taught when it's not there to throw it away, and I'm assuming that's what he's trying to do in this situation. 1st and 10, you just can't have a negative play. Throwing the ball away there in that situation was a good decision by Boyd. If you look at A.J. Green.
Green missing his 2nd game. Toe injury. Tried it beforehand. Late scratch. 2nd down 10. A lot of pressure. Here goes Dalton. He needs the 25. Looks like he got it. Smith was at the end of that slide. Gain of 9. And they're going to spot the ball. Looks like he's shy of the first down by about a half yard.
It's a good look at it because just watch how this opens up for Dalton at the top of his drop. Dalton's a smart player. He knows this is a team that plays a ton of man-to-man coverage. And when he sees it's man-to-man coverage, he knows there's some opportunities to pull the ball down and run.
3rd and 1. And there's the first down run. Right into the teeth of that defense. There's a Darius Smith, and it's Mixon who got it. By the way, he's number 5 in the NFL coming in yards per game. 81 a game. Gain of 4 right there. Mixon today, Rich, 9 carries. That was number 10 right there, and he picks up 18 for the afternoon now.
Look at how quickly things have changed for Cincinnati. You get a turnover, and you've got some great field position here in the second half, early in the second half of the third quarter, and the Bengals have taken advantage of it.
1st and 10. And to the side they go. Ross got it. Jousting. Touchdown! John Ross took it away. Coverage on the play by Humphrey. 22-yard touchdown pass. Andy Dalton. And Cincinnati builds on their lead.
This is a really nice adjustment on the fly by John Ross. I think it's purposely underthrown by Andy Dalton. He sees Humphrey in front of him. Look at the adjustment by John Ross coming back and fighting for the football.
Ross has been dealing with a groin issue since week 4 against Atlanta on a touchdown reception where he ran it. Comes up with a terrific play. We know about his speed, record setter at the combine, but Rich this time shows a little bit in addition to that speed. Did he get both feet in? Watch him.
Well, it's a question of when he the question is when he actually has possession of the football. Humphrey still's got his arm in there.
But it never leaves Ross' grasp, though, does it?
Yeah, it's a tough one to tell, but it looks to me like he did have possession.
And the tie always goes to?
The receiver.
The receiver. 22-yard touchdown pass to Ross. Bullock makes it 21-13 Cincinnati. The Bengals trailed at halftime 13-7. Dalton 2 touchdown passes. Lingle before. Right here, John Ross in a joust with Humphrey. In the second half, Baltimore has thrown an interception picked off by Williams, and then Rich, moments ago, they went for it and lost it on downs at their 45. Each time, Cincinnati cashing in.
Yeah, really, you look at what's happened here in the third quarter, the interception, and obviously the failure to convert on 4th down really set the Bengals up for some great field position and opportunities in that third quarter.
Bengals have won 3 of their last 4 here, and overall 8 of 10, including earlier this season. Moore on the fly on the kickoff at the 5. Upended on the play. Nice defensive play right there by Tony McRae, who spent some time with the Ravens last year. 15-yard return. Steve Tasker's on the sideline.
Yeah, it's Baltimore sideline. The last 2 series, they came out on the defense with 2 short fields, one on the interception by Lamar Jackson, then the one turned over on downs. And you cannot imagine getting the wind knocked out of you like the Baltimore defense has. 2 short fields, they gave up 2 touchdowns. And just this minute, as the Bengals make that tackle on special teams, the entire sideline erupted once again. 2 very different atmospheres on both sidelines. The momentum all with Cincinnati.
Steve, thank you. 1st and 10. Fake to Edwards, the rookie quarterback, and down he goes. Around his ankles he had Dunlap. And up high he had Andrew Billings bringing him down, and it's back at the 13, a loss of 2.
Well, in between what to do, you feel the pressure. Doing a good job setting the edge, forcing Lamar Jackson to step up inside where they're getting some push up the middle.
It's one thing for a rookie quarterback to play with the lead. It's another thing for a rookie quarterback to play down 21-13.
Yeah, it's still a 1-score game, though. I don't think the game plan is going to change dramatically.
Montgomery was in, 2nd and 17, and there's the catch made by Snead, banged around like a pinball. Nickerson among a couple to get him. 17-yard pickup, a good throw to the 30.
But like a lot of young quarterbacks, he needs the constant work on the decision-making and the accuracy and really trusting the protection. That was a good shot and a good example of Lamar Jackson doing just that, just sitting in there with quiet feet, making a good throw.
Bengals in the nickel. First down and 10. Blocked by Edwards. Here comes Dunlap. Here comes Johnson. There goes the ball. Where they're putting the pressure on him now. Those are two guys that can pinch the pocket. Flag has been thrown. Way on the other side of the field at about the 33.
You look at this Cincinnati defense. I really believe that Marvin Lewis has tried to scale things back a little bit with this defensive plan. He told us last night he's got to settle these players down and really get their confidence back. I think you do that. Sometimes less is more. You know, it starts with their defensive line, and the defensive line has played pretty well today, but you know, just sometimes you go back to the basics.
There's no foul on the play. Second down.
Took them a while to figure that one out, but you know, sometimes you go back to the basics of who you are. And, you know, Sean Williams had some great things to say last night. The Bengals safety, he said we really didn't know who we were and didn't have an identity as a defensive unit. And Marvin Lewis said we're going to get back to playing bully ball, just being physical and really controlling the line of scrimmage and being aggressive. And that's what they haven't done the last month.
Second down and 10. Looking for some blocks and a spin, and Hubbard will make the tackle on Lamar Jackson. It's a gain of 8. He's out to the 37. To New York and James.
Dallas's O-line.
Yeah, they're doing the job today. Ezekiel Elliott right up the middle for a 23-yard touchdown, breaking tackles, 114 yards for the day. Dallas up on Atlanta 19-9. Let's throw it back to Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, and Steve Tasker.
Thank you, Phil. Dallas at their best when Elliott is running well.
That's a key to it all. It certainly helps the young quarterback as well.
They're down in 2, and it's Edwards trying to pile drive and then accelerates. Hit by Williams, spins his way to the 45. 17-yard pickup and a first down.
That's a good-looking run by Edwards. It didn't look like there was a lot there, but somehow he came out of the pile. Look, he just sticks it up in there, keeps those legs churning, and good-looking finish by Edwards.
I think you nailed it, Rich. He's one cut and then bang, man. He takes it right up the middle. First and 10. Lamar Jackson, sidearm throw. What a nice catch. Moore reels it in. Williams the tackle. 14-yard pickup to the Cincinnati 31.
This is an incredible catch and great concentration by Chris Moore.
Williams is down.
Just is able to get that right hand back there. Just watch this throw by Lamar Jackson. It's important to be able to change arm angles.
Wow.
And find a window, a throwing lane. Look at that. Look how he just snaps it out there. Now, it wasn't the most accurate throw, but at least he gave Moore a chance to make the adjustment on the ball. Great concentration by Chris Moore.
Sean Williams, as I mentioned, is down. Had a pickoff earlier in this half, and we step aside. 3:02 in the third.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Fidelity Investments, where we're redefining value for investors. And by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the NFL.
Well, I know someone is on the clock.
I know somebody is hungry, too.
Rich, in the first half, the Ravens had a penalty and a sack in Cincinnati territory, settled for a field goal. They'll have points on the field then. They can't now. First and 10. Collins was in, looking for some blocks, and Yanda will support him. And then taken out by Dre Kirkpatrick. And it's a gain of 7 on the play, and he's to the 24 of Cincinnati.
And Dre Kirkpatrick just lassos Lamar Jackson into this run. Just grabs him around the neck. I'm surprised they didn't call a personal foul there on Kirkpatrick.
This drive has seen Baltimore with a 17-yard pass to Snead, a 17-yard run by Edwards, a 14-yard pass to Moore. Harbaugh playing from behind after leading at halftime, 13-7.
This is definitely 4-down territory the rest of this drive.
With a second down and 3, it's Jackson. Oh, look at him cut around the corner and take it to about the 16. And Vincent Ray, who led him in tackles a year ago, brings him down. Gain of 8 on 2nd and 3. That's a first down.
Well, you just watch these zone reads. All Lamar Jackson's really looking at is the end man on the line of scrimmage. When he sees the end man on the line of scrimmage bite on the fake, he's going to pull it and run.
Boy, you don't see in the NFL game that the two quarterbacks are leading their teams in rushing, but that's the case today. 1st and 10.
Option.
Here it is. Will he pitch? Yep, he will. That was Ty Montgomery. And Bates will bring him down. Fedulum, by the way, was in for Williams. Williams was in on that play, back in just on that play. After being injured, it's a gain of 4.
You know, the problem for the Bengals this week has been preparing. You don't have a lot of game film on a quarterback. And
Right.
also, they're difficult to find a player on your roster to be the scout team quarterback and duplicate the skill set of Lamar Jackson. This week, the responsibility fell on that man right there, third-year quarterback Jeff Driscoll. He did an excellent job, but trust me, he's athletic, but he's no Lamar Jackson.
Edwards. Oh, we got a block from Brown, and Brown again! The receiver Brown, the tackle Brown. That's an 11-yard touchdown run. Gus Edwards.
We're going to go for 2 now. It's a great run by Edwards, and I want you to watch at the end of this run. Watch the receivers down the field. You're going to see John Brown get a block, and Michael Crabtree, Willie Snead on the back. And look at Crabtree. He gets a big block, and it's a real compliment to those players.
That was Edwards' first NFL touchdown. Play clock is at 2. That can't be right.
I think the officials they're talking about whether or not to, at some point.
They're going to go for 2, as you can see.
You can see Harbaugh, he was asking why they didn't reset the play clock.
Right.
Please reset the play clock to 20 seconds, please. 20 seconds.
Well, that's a break, and now they can call the play and get it lined up. You see Marty Morningweg there with the play sheet. He's got some 2-minute plays that he's really liked that they've scripted and rehearsed and practiced this week. Remember, I talked about missing Thursday practice, Kevin. This is where the short yards and goal line plays were repped, and all those reps went to Robert Griffin III and not Lamar Jackson.
Edwards for 2. He got it. We're tied. Do we have a 4th quarter in store for you? Touchdown run, Edwards of 11. 2-yard run on the 2-point try by Edwards. Finishes it off well. First 2 scores in the NFL for the rookie free agent from Rutgers.
Boy, he's had a really productive day, Ken. I like his body language, and I like how he approaches the line of scrimmage with a certain demeanor and a purpose and a sense of urgency. He's just under 100 yards on 13 carries, 96 yards rushing. And we're not even into the 4th quarter. Now he's going to go cover a kick. That's what happens when you're a rookie free agent. I always say the more you can do.
Please for Gus Edwards. That was his first NFL touchdown. Congratulations, Gus.
.103 to play here in the 3rd quarter. They'll leave it in the end zone. Erickson will let it go. The tradition continues on Thanksgiving Day with football on CBS, featuring a great rivalry between Chicago and Detroit. Kick off your day with family, football, and the NFL today. 12 Eastern on CBS. First down and 10 for Dalton. Dalton on the move. Nice knock away that time by Carr, going for Boyd. In the second half now, Dalton is 6 of 8 with those 2 touchdowns.
That's a good rush by Suggs. He's just working on the left tackle, Glenn, and just he beats him across his face, forces Dalton to get off the spot and have to throw this ball before he's ready. And look at Suggs. He's just amazing. In his 16th season, he's just a sack and a half shy of tying Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor. 132 and a half career sacks for 13th most in NFL history.
It's Mixon. Bowling trying to get a block, but he's slipped and Suggs will wrap him up. And the momentum, Rich, in this game has changed. The loss of 2 right there. Back to the 22.
Boy, they just can't get the running game going. Mixon has really struggled today running the football. 9 carries for just 14 yards. Too many negative runs this season for Joe Mixon.
There'll be 6 in the secondary for the Baltimore Ravens, including Levine. 3rd and 12. They need the 35.
Here comes the blitz.
Dalton on the move and short and incomplete. Going for Boyd. The coverage on the play by the linebacker Mosley. Well, it's asking a lot of your linebackers. He does it well, and he covered him well.
And they just don't give you a lot of time back there in the pocket. You're seeing constant 5- and 6-man pressures. And Dalton's not able to really set his feet back there in the pocket. Ball's having to come out quick.
Huber to punt. Jones is back. 38-yard line. 38-yard punt. Down to 8 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. So Jackson has led them from behind. They get the 2-point run by Edwards. They get an 11-yard touchdown run by Edwards, who also had a 17-yard run, Rich, on that drive. And we just showed the numbers moments ago. 13 carries for Edwards and 96 yards, and the quarterback has carried it for 102. What a rushing attack today by Baltimore.
Well, the rushing differential is a big story in this game. The Ravens have already rushed for 228 yards, where the Bengals have rushed for just 46 yards. And that affects time of possession as well as the number of plays that and opportunities you're going to have as an offense.
Buck Allen with Burfict making the stop with Hubbard. Gain of 2. That takes us to the 4th. We are tied after a volatile 3rd quarter. 21 apiece. You're watching the NFL on CBS. You look at some of the stories statistically of the first half and the 3rd quarter. Dalton had 2 third-quarter touchdown passes to come back from 13-7 down to lead 21-13. And then the rookie quarterback Jackson had a drive culminating with an 11-yard touchdown run by Edwards and a 2-point to tie it at 21. Here we are in the 4th. And Edwards with Dunlap around his ankles and a gain of a yard on that 2nd down and 8 to the 42 of Baltimore.
I've been really impressed with what I've seen from Gus Edwards today. Almost 100 yards rushing and 3/4 of football.
Bengals come in 5-4. They've lost 3 of 4. But they have won 8 of 10 over Baltimore. The Ravens at 4-5. They've lost 3 straight. 3rd down 7. Blocked by Brown. Here goes Jackson on the fly and caught. Mark Andrews makes the grab. Working on the rookie free safety Jesse Bates. 19-yard pickup to the 39.
Well, really nice adjustment. You're going to watch him escape to the right. It's a similar play where he threw the interception earlier. This time he's able to throw it over the outstretched arms of the linebacker Evans right there in the middle of your screen. These rookie tight ends for the Ravens are going to be really good. Mark Andrews and Hayden Hurst.
First down and 10, Edwards. There goes Williams again from behind with the grab and the tackle and a gain of 1 down to about the 38.
And when you're struggling to stop the run, you've got to bring extra bodies down around the line of scrimmage. Let's take a look at Gus Edwards' day. And again, you look at this picture from above, there's a lot of white jerseys there. There's not a big crease, but he's somehow patient. He heads downhill. He's got great vision, and he's a finisher. And I've just been really impressed with what I've seen from the rookie back.
2nd down and 9. Look out for Johnson. Look out for Hubbard. Here comes Atkins. There goes Jackson. Near the 35. He was dancing all over the place, wasn't he? And after all that, he gains 4.
We were talking about it in our meeting last night, Kevin. You know, you look at a guy like Fran Tarkenton, Roger Staubach. I mean, look at this guy run around. I mean, he starts to his left. He starts back up inside. He bounces it to the right. You think he's going to throw it. He decides to pull it down and run. I mean, this will wear you out physically as a defense.
Williams is down on a knee, and a timeout has been taken because a Baltimore player is down back, and that is the left tackle Ronnie Stanley, who had an ankle injury coming in. They look at Williams on one side and Stanley on the other. And he has been kind of in and out, although he has played most of this second half.
Well, there he is limping again,
albeit
Kevin.
on the bad ankle. That's right. So Illuminor will come in. He started against Pitt.
Yeah, the tackle position has been a bit of a problem for the Ravens. You know, both starting offensive tackles didn't play in their last game against Pittsburgh. Stanley, as you mentioned, with the ankle. Hurst with the back. He's been out 3 straight weeks now. Orlando Brown's coming in and done a nice job. Illuminor's done a nice job.
He was elevated off the practice squad back on October 23rd. He was waived and then re-signed in September. So they have a young and experienced line, Rich. They've had to kind of connect the dots as the season has gone on.
It's dangerous with a young, inexperienced quarterback.
Right.
You look at Lamar Jackson looking over to the sidelines. They've changed. They tried to eliminate some of the wordy play calls. Remember, he didn't call a lot of plays in the huddle at Louisville, so they've gone to more 1 or 2 word play calls.
Gus Edwards is over 100 yards and into the secondary. He was tackled by Nickerson after a burst of 15. They'll put him at the 19-yard line of the Bengals.
Man, just watch this hole. This is a good-looking crease right here. Kevin, you could run through there.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a good-looking hole for a back. You don't get a lot of them at this level. And just watch this guy finish.
Edwards and Jackson have 219 combined yards on the ground.
And if you can't stop it, you're going to see it. You're going to continue to see it.
Edwards on 1st and 10. Nickerson got him around the ankles on a gain of 2 to the 17 of the Bengals.
And a good play caller will keep coming back to the similar type of runs. You've got a running back with a hot hand. And Marty Morningway, you look at his play sheet, you know, it's changed significantly. This was a team that threw the ball so much. And now you look at them, the run-pass ratio is completely different. 44 rushing plays today and just 20 passing plays.
Collins in 2nd and 8, 8th play of the drive. And this is Collins. And he's brought down with Josh Tupou, all 345 pounds of him. There's the ball, there's the shove, and the scrum. As we just saw that graphic last time, the teammates had over 100 yards each on one team in one game, 2014.
It's Marshall Yanda in the mix there with, I think, Andrew Billings.
Kaepernick and Gore. With the 2. Perfect is in there as well. Marshall Yanda having a terrific season, the 6-time Pro Bowler. Remember last year he missed a lot of time, 14 games, ankle injury, and then his subsequent surgery. Had shoulder surgery this offseason, Yanda did. He is one of the best guards we've seen in a while here in the NFL. Highly decorated. Montgomery is in the backfield for Jackson. 3rd and 7. Brown a block, sidearm delivery, Snead, Denard, Snead, Denard, and Snead wins that one. Jack hammering his way for 7. and gets it down to about the 8. First and goal.
Well, Willie Snead is so effective working in the middle of the field between the numbers. He's a chain mover and a huge target on third down, regardless of who's playing quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens. Another example of Lamar Jackson, that little sidearm flick.
He'll hit the deck. Losing 3.
He just misses this one a little bit low maybe, but certainly a snap he should handle.
A loss of 4 yards, second down.
The center is Matt Skura, who has started every game, but you're right, it was low, but it was handleable. Halftime, it was a 13-7 Baltimore lead. 2 passing touchdowns, one aided by an interception by Dalton, gave the Bengals a 21-13 lead. The Baltimore's come back to tie it. Second down and goal at the 11. Jackson, the dance, and down to the 4. With a tackle made by Jordan Evans on a gain of 7 by the shifty Baltimore quarterback Jackson.
This is a problem. I mean, you just look at the space in the middle of the field. I mean, this is too easy. Somebody has to account for the quarterback in the running game, and you see it's late to happen with Jordan Evans making the adjustment.
They empty the backfield. In the slot is the running back Edwards. Third and goal at the 4. Jackson. And Atkins got him. Shoestring tackle by the Pro Bowler Geno Atkins and a loss of a yard. Here comes the Baltimore field goal unit on 4th and goal.
Well, they came right back to it, and this is a good adjustment by that defensive line. You see Geno Atkins. He's seen this play one too many times today. That's why Geno Atkins makes the big bucks. Good adjustment there on the fly.
So Justin Tucker is in with a 24-yarder ahead of him here to give his Baltimore Ravens a lead. With just over 8 minutes to play in the 4th for the lead. Tucker from 24. 24-21 Baltimore. They've retaken the lead over Marvin Lewis and the Bengals on CBS. We came into today, the Bengals, the second wild card, the 6th seed. If Baltimore wins, they could be the AFC's second wild card, switching places with the Bengals. Right now, the Titans are getting beaten badly by the Colts. And so if things fall right, if Baltimore would win, they would take the second wild card. And of course, if the Bengals win, they would go to 6-4. And they would be in that position. So divisional thoughts, wild card thoughts for these two teams. The ensuing kickoff after the 24-yard Tucker field goal is in and out of the end zone. Erickson lets it flutter away to the 25. It'll be a 1st and 10 for Andy Dalton, and Steve Chasker's on the sideline.
I'm on the sidelines of the Baltimore Ravens, and one of the things they've got going for them is their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is as accurate running with the football and throwing it on the run as he is standing in a pocket. Conversely, they're telling their defense, we want Andy Dalton to have to run to throw it. He is way less effective on the move while trying to throw it. So the Ravens defense wants Andy Dalton to move while he's throwing it, while it's just the reverse for the Bengals.
Thank you, Steve. The noise here is they just showed a picture of the great Ray Lewis on the scoreboard, watching the game in attendance in the owner's suite. Mixon in the backfield, 1 of 2, 1st and 10 Dalton. And it's underneath. Big hit by Mosley on John Ross. A gain of 5 to the 30. Let's take you to our CBS studios in New York. James and Phil.
Drama in Atlanta.
Yes, it is. The old-fashioned just go route down the sideline. Matt Ryan to Julio Jones. 34 yards for a touchdown. 118 yards receiving by Julio Jones today. 19 all inside of 2 minutes. Back to Kevin Ritzenstein.
Thank you, Phil. Another touchdown by Jones. 2nd down and 5. Mixon Got a block from Uzama. Got away from Judon. And then he was brought down on the play. Looked like Jimmy Smith got a hand on him, and there is no gain on the play. They will stay where they were. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Well, the Ravens have turned this into a one-dimensional game. The running game for the Bengals has been virtually non-existent. Just 46 rushing yards today on 15 carries. They have to rely on the right arm of Andy Dalton.
No A.J. Green today, Rich. They needed Mixon to be big. Lewis watching 11 carries. Mixon 12 yards. 3rd and 5. Watch for Boyd, 83. Bernard is in the backfield. And there's Boyd on the cross. Waddle, and he leaps, and he's got the first down. Pretty play. Gain of 6. Leaping for the first on 3rd and 5 to the 35.
Well, how about this effort by Tyler Boyd and a good tackle by Jimmy Smith. But look at him leave his feet early, knowing exactly where those first down markers are. And tell me, that will get you inspired. If you're wearing one of those orange helmets. Great effort by Tyler Boyd.
The Ravens have scored 11 unanswered to take the lead after they trailed 21-13 in the 3rd. 1st and 10. Mixon in. Outside Bernard. Drilled in the play by Kenny Young. They play those running backs occasionally together. That's a gain of 3. That's up to the 38.
Well, the Bengals have done a pretty good job today of handling the blitz. Dalton's gotten the ball out quick. He knows where his quick answer throws are. In fact, he's been excellent at handling the blitz this year. He's actually got the highest passer rating in the league against the blitz. And coming into today's game, he knew this Baltimore defense was going to bring a lot of pressure. Just give you a lot of these looks with 7, 8 men up to the line of scrimmage.
2nd down and 7. Pressured and throws it away. Well, they had a couple coming in there, including Brent Urban, who has started every game at the defensive end.
Well, Marvin Lewis has done a nice job. You know, they haven't burnt timeouts. The communication's been pretty good with him calling the defenses. It's been kind of a seamless transition, and I just think that the defense, to me, when I look at what they did last week against the Saints compared to what you're seeing today, they've played much more inspired football under Marvin Lewis.
Bernard is in. 6 in the secondary for the Ravens, including Levine, 3rd and 7. They need the 45.
And here's Boyd right here.
Actually, the 45 and a half. Flag. Those tackles missed. They jumped. False start.
False start, number 68. Offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Right tackle Bobby Hart.
There it is. And both tackles move a little bit. Yep, just a split second, a little early out of the gate. Hart and Glenn.
That's the first penalty this half for either team.
Did a pretty good job handling the crowd noise here in Baltimore.
They need the 45 and a half. It's 3rd and 12. And he's got Boyd. He's got the first down. Zigzags his way to the 35 on a 32-yard catch and run. In the absence of A.J. Green, it's been Boyd with a big-time catch.
Watch how early Andy Dalton throws this football. Boyd's not even out of the break, and he's already throwing that in route. That's just a great job by Andy Dalton, trusting the protection, knowing he's going to get hit in the face and making a good, accurate throw down the field.
1st and 10. And to the sideline, snared by Ross, but on the chalk.
2nd down.
It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Just run out of room on the boundary. Just makes a good catch. He's not able to get the feet in bounds. I always say it's important to give the quarterback some space, some room on the boundary. Give him a little bit of a cushion, a 2 or 3 yard cushion, so that you're not running those outbreaking routes and even those comeback routes on the chalk.
Couple tight ends. Extra blocker is Jake Fisher. 2nd down and 10. Mixon Got by the first wave, and then Young, Kenny Young, jumped on him, brought him down after a gain of 2 to the 33 of Baltimore.
And Michael Pierce really makes that play happen. He beats the center, Billy Price, across his face, and that forces Joe Mixon to cut that run backside.
Well, you never want to be beaten across your face. It was that time. Dalton has converted on this drive. 3rd and 5. He got Boyd for 5. 3rd and 12. He got Boyd for 32. 3rd and 8. They need the 25. And through the hands of Boyd, the coverage by Brandon Carr.
Things really get difficult for the Bengals on 3rd down. You don't have A.J. Green, because now instead of directing your resources and your attention to doubling A.J. Green, you can now work with taking away his other top target, Tyler Boyd.
So the field goal unit is out there, and Randy Bullock will be trying a 52-yard field goal, and he'll try to tie this one. 52 yards, minimal wind for the tie. And no. The defense holds. Missed 52-yard field goal try. And Baltimore will take over with under 4 to go.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Corona Extra. Find your beach. Verizon, the best unlimited is on Verizon, America's most awarded network. And by FedEx, possibilities, what we deliver by delivering.
Last month, as part of the NFL Salute to Service campaign, the Ravens hosted their 2nd annual military combine at their practice facility in Owings Mills. 42-yard line after a missed 52-yard Cincinnati field goal by Bullock. So the Bengals had 3 more chances to stop with 2 tight ends in the 2-minute warning, and here comes Jackson on 1st and 10. Hubbard and Williams with the collision. Nice play by Williams out of the secondary. Only a gain of a yard.
Well, it's been a pretty productive day for the first-year signal caller, and he's taken advantage of a lot of opportunities, but I think what's been most impressive is his ability to extend plays and keep plays alive with his legs. He's rushed for 106 yards on 20 carries. He's been pretty efficient throwing the football, 13 of 19 for 150 yards. He just had the one mistake, the interception in the 3rd quarter to Shawn Williams.
Jackson again, 2nd down, long 8, and hits the deck just shy of midfield. Denard made that play with the tackle and a gain of 4.
Well, if he's going to run as much as he has, he's going to have to learn to protect himself. That previous play, he took a big hit on the boundary, and you know, I always say the most important ability at the quarterback position is availability. You got to be able to line up and play every week. Joe Flacco has been able to do that for a long time here in Baltimore. In fact, in 11 seasons, Flacco's only missed 7 games.
It's because he blew a knee. Cincinnati just took a timeout. Coming up, State Farm post-game show. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher, scores, news, and highlights. What a day in the NFL. Some terrific games, including this one. That's all coming up on the State Farm post-game show. Now, since he has 2 chances to stop it, Rich, at the 2-minute warning and a single timeout, Baltimore's got 2 timeouts. Ravens have scored 11 unanswered to come back. Buck Allen in the backfield. 3rd down and 4. Jackson. Stanley back in at the left tackle, offering the block. I think he is. He gains 3. They had Ray and they had Jordan Evans over there defensively for Cincinnati. He just creeps into Bengal territory at the 49-yard line, and the clock is ticking.
He's going to go for it. Coach Harbaugh said, look, oh, he's not. He's going to punt. Told us on Friday, he said, I'd rather be wrong and not be aggressive.
You might remember what happened last time on 4th and 1, right? Now he's going to punt.
Yeah, that's true.
So Erickson is back. Cook will punt.
Well, they're going to call a timeout. Maybe they're thinking about it.
Well, maybe they are. Baltimore will take their 2nd timeout. They've got 1 left, and Mornhinweg and the coach will talk. This is a big decision.
I don't think you take the timeout and put the punt team back out there. I think they've decided to go for it.
They are. Jackson looks like he's going out. Edwards is going to go out. You're right, Rich.
And they've actually been, look, I understand it's 4th down, but in 3rd and short situations, this has been one of the best team in football. In 3rd and 3 or less, they've converted a league high 76%. So they're good in short yardage situations. I think that maybe that's why they decided to take that timeout and put Lamar Jackson and the offense back on the field.
So Edwards, the running back, 115 on the ground. Lamar Jackson, the quarterback, 115 on the ground. Jackson's got the call. Back out he goes. And what is Marvin Lewis dialed up for his defense? What is Marty Mornhinweg going to call here on 4th and 1?
Well, remember the last time they did this, they called the quarterback sneak. And that got stuffed. But I would anticipate it's going to be Lamar Jackson.
Edwards, flag. Pile driving Edwards. He has the first down. It would appear flag at the 48. By the body language, the Bengals think it's on the Ravens.
Illegal formation on the offense. Number 79 was in man on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
That's Stanley, the left tackle.
Well, he must not have. I have no idea why. Actually, he's uncovered. So what happened was Stanley either did not report as the end man on the line of scrimmage and wasn't covered up by the X or outside receiver.
Cook with the punt. Erickson will return it from the 11. Hang time of 4-3. He sneaks away from one. He hits the sideline, and he's belted on the play by Bowser along with Owasso, and a flag on an 8-yard return and a 43-yard punt and 2:45 to go. The Bengal offensive's out there. They are talking about the flag.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
The Bengals have had 3 fourth-quarter comeback wins this season. Can they make it 4?
Well, critical mistake here on 4th down. There's your left tackle, Stanley. He's not covered up. Somebody has to be out here. They've got 2 tight ends in the backfield. In order for this to be a legal formation, the receiver has to come over and get on the line of scrimmage and cover up the left tackle. What a big mistake in a critical situation.
Also, remember, Jackson went out of bounds on that first down carry on that drive and stopped the clock. Plenty of time. Bengals a timeout. Baltimore timeout. From there, 10 after the Raven punt, 1st and 10. Dalton. And he's got his tight end, Uzama, brought down by Tony Jefferson. 20-yard pickup to the 30 of the Bengals.
It was a really nice adjustment by Uzama heading down the seam. And this is the route that I think Dalton throws as well as any quarterback in football. He's much better and much more comfortable throwing the ball between the numbers.
Giovanni Bernard remains. 1st down and 10. The time is there. The pass is on target. Giovanni Bernard to the 37. He's brought down by Owasso. That is a gain of 7 on the play. We're going to go to the 2-minute warning. Bullock prepares. Down by 3. Bengals trailing on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light, reminding you not to drink and ride your horse. And by USAA, official NFL salute to service partner.
You're at the 2-minute warning. A timeout apiece. Bengals have it. They're down by 3. 2nd down and 3 from their 37.
And Dalton has been so good in these 2-minute type situations. He's got a lot of experience, as you see there. Already have 3 fourth-quarter game-winning drives this season.
There are 6 in the secondary for Baltimore. Bernard is the back, 2nd and 3. You see Levine, 41. And Dalton deep and incomplete. Ross was covered on the far sideline by Jimmy Smith.
Well, Jimmy Smith has done a nice job today. This Baltimore defense has done a nice job keeping the lid on the explosive plays.
Third down and 3.
Obviously 4-down territory. Andy Dalton knows that in his mind. He's got 2 opportunities to pick up 3 yards.
Hey, drag, we're gapping, we're gap. Hey, gap.
Oh, they get by. Judon couldn't get him. Smith is chasing, and he has to throw on the far sideline. Caught by Uzama, but on the chalk. Jefferson was over there covering the Bengal tight end, but he was catching the ball out of bounds.
Smart play by Dalton, knowing that he didn't really have anyone open down the field, so he throws it away and lives for another down. He knew he had the opportunity on 4th down. Pretty close, as you said, Kevin. He just ran out of room on the boundary. Somebody has to win against man-to-man coverage. The Ravens have been playing a ton of it here in the second half.
6 in the secondary. Bernard the back. 4th and 3.
Look at Giovanni Bernard. He's up in there to pick up someone in that A-gap.
Play clock. And a timeout, Cincinnati.
That came from the boundary. I don't think Andy Dalton ever saw the 25-second clock. And Kevin, you and I look at them in every stadium, and I don't like where they're at here. They're up high on that second level. If I'm a quarterback, I want the 25-second clock in the lower corner of that end zone. It's hard. Your eyes, if you're a quarterback, you don't want your eyes to leave the field. You see it way up here in this corner. My eyes and my focus is down here. So I'd rather have that 25-second clock in this lower right corner.
Joe Mixon is... Well, he was in, now he leaves. He came in to take a receiver's position, now he jumps off the field. State Farm postgame show being put together for you right now in New York. Highlights with JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, Coach Cowher getting ready for you at the State Farm postgame show from our CBS studios.
And if you're Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, what do? Well, history tells you he brings pressure in these situations.
4th and 3 and no timeouts. Dalton. And bobbled. Cody Core couldn't get it. Marlon Humphrey on the sideline with the coverage. Humphrey with the play. Battling Cody Core. Incomplete on downs. It goes to Baltimore. What a play.
Isn't it amazing? In a critical situation with the game on the line, it's not A.J. Green, it's not Tyler Boyd, it's Cody Core. And that's a great job there at the end. You see Humphreys is able to get that right arm in there and rip it away from the receiver.
Core only has 5 catches all season, and none today. And now the victory formation. How about to be a rookie quarterback, the last of the 5 first-round drafted quarterbacks this year to start a game in place of the injured Joe Flacco, and Lamar Jackson comes up a winner on his NFL starting debut.
And I think they've got to be pleased with his performance, Kevin. You talk about 115 rushing yards. He was 13 of 19. He shows that he can throw the ball accurately from the pocket. And for the most part, he did a good job protecting the football. He just had the one critical mistake, the interception, but he quickly was able to turn the page and get back on track.
Baltimore is going to go to 5-5. They stop a 3-game losing streak. The Bengals will drop to 5-5. And Cincinnati has lost 4 of their last 5. What a day for Jackson. Jackson through the air, 13 of 19 for 150. He did throw a pick. Jackson on the ground ran for 113. Edwards, who began his college career as a running back at Miami and then as a grad student played 1 year at Rutgers, carries 17 times, 115 yards. Those were incredibly important yards for the Ravens this afternoon.
And how about the offensive line? You know, when you rush for 260 yards. I think that all 5 of those big men up front deserve a game ball. Certainly, and it was a big help for Edwards and Jackson today as they ran the ball really well against the Cincinnati defense.
Tucker with a game-winning 24-yard field goal. 24-21. Baltimore now goes to number 6 in the AFC second wild card. For Rich and Steve, Kevin Harlan sending you to James Brown in New York.